Hi, welcome to Aniao. The story begins with the demon lord, Leonis, awakening from a 1,000-year slumber. He finds himself in a new world, one where humanity is on the brink of extinction. Leonis Death Magnus is a complex and intriguing. He is a young man with a dark past, but he is also determined to create a better future for himself and the world. Leonis was born into a small village in the kingdom of Asteria. He was a kind and compassionate boy, and he was loved by everyone in the village. One day, a group of bandits attacked Leonis' village. His parents were killed in the attack, and he was the only survivor. He was devastated by the loss of his friends and family, and he vowed to avenge their deaths. Leonis was taken in by the Six Heroes, a group of legendary warriors who protected the kingdom of Asteria from evil. Leonis was trained by the Six Heroes, and he became one of the most skilled swordsmen in the kingdom. When Leonis was old enough, he joined the Six Heroes in their fight against evil. He fought bravely and honorably, and he became known as the hero of the Holy Sword. One day, Leonis was betrayed by his own people. He was assassinated, and his villages was destroyed. Leonis was one of the great Six Heroes of the world, and an Leonis who never learned how to trust anyone else. He was leading him to the side of a void monster that was destroying the nearby villages, however. And when they got to the site, Leonis wondered where the monsters were, but he saw that the man had disappeared. As he felt uneasy and he tried to draw his sword, 3 magicians casted their barrier magic to suppress his movement, and 5 more soldiers ran to restrain him with chains. Once he was caught, they pulled him up and stopped him from moving, but he managed to free one of his legs. However, the men stabbed him with their spears, and even though Leonis tried to resist, he had already lost too much blood, so the men dropped him on the floor as his body laid lifeless. The soldiers were glad to finally defeat Leonis, since the people liked him more than the king, and he was strong enough to overthrow their entire kingdom. When they walked away, Leonis heard a heavenly voice telling him that it wasn't his time, and wondered why he walked into their trap, especially since he knew they were about to kill him. However, she revealed that she only wanted to make the people feel safe, so when she asked him if he regretted saving them from the goddess, he told her that he didn't. After all, he didn't view them as evil, but the goddess told him that she didn't care whether they were evil or not, because this entire world is evil. She wanted to begin a rebellion against the world, and when Leonis asked her why she was inviting him, she told him that he was the only one she could ask for support, but then revealed she was lying. Her real reason was because she'd been watching him all this time and has love in first sight with him. She telling him that it's boring to be a hero, so he should become hers. His eyes shifted towards her. Leonis was born 1,000 years ago, the son of the Dark Lord Leonis Death Magnus. He was raised to be a warrior, and he quickly became one of the most powerful exorcists in the world. However, Leonis was also corrupted by the dark power that he wielded. He became arrogant and cruel, and he began to use his power for his own personal goal. He is intelligent, brave, and compassionate. However, he is still struggling to come to terms with his dark past, and he is constantly battling with the forces of good and evil within him. Leonis is a deeply conflicted character. He wants to be a good person, but he is also drawn to the power of darkness. He knows that he must use his powers wisely, lest he become the very thing he despises. Rizelia was born into the Christlia family, a noble house with a long history of serving the empire. However, when she was young, her parents were killed by monster attack. Rizelia was survivor, and she was forced to flee her home. 6 years ago, the Voids entered city through the dimensional gate, and Regina hugged tightly onto, worried that all of their family would perish. However, Rizelia told Regina that her parents, along with all the other knights, would never lose the battle, and as the building began to quake, she told Regina that she would protect everyone once she got her holy sword. Her entire life she'd been studying all the books her dad gave to her, and even her bigger sister had bought her a dress for all the dances she'd be invited to with all the friends she would make at school. The building continued quaking as the sound of the explosions kept getting louder, but Rizelia kept screaming that everything would be fine, but they both knew that nothing would be the same as the emergency lights went off. Rizelia tried running to help her family, but Regina held her back. However, Rizelia said that her family had never lost a single fight and promised that everything would be alright. But when the explosion stopped and the doors opened, both of them were long asleep. The entire city was in ruins and every single soldier had been eliminated. Hearing those words made Rizelia collapse as she apologized to Regina for lying to her that everything would be fine. Ever since that day, Rizelia knew nothing would be the same. After wandering for several days, Rizelia was found by a group of voids. The voids are a race of creatures that were created by the goddess of rebellion to destroy humanity. Excalibur Academy took Rizelia in and raised her as one of their own. They taught her how to fight and how to use magic. Rizelia grew up to be a skilled warrior and a powerful sorceress. Leonis, he was betrayed by his own people and he reincarnated by God as a demon lord to destroy the entire world. In the year 447, the demon lord's skeletal army rushed towards the human soldiers, but even as they slayed the humans, all of them were revived and blessed with god powers from the angels. And when a white dragon began raining fire on his castle, Leonis sat inside of his corridor watching how the 6 dark lords, led by the undead sorcerer Leonis Death Magnus, had conquered most of the known world. The 6 heroes, the only ones who could stand against the Dark Lords, were on the verge of defeat. The 6 heroes destroyed all of his strongholds after being blessed with the gods. Once all of his skeletons were defeated by a magical archale, tree priests began praying to cast the branches to destroy his last base. In a final act of desperation, the 6 heroes summoned their combined power and unleashed a devastating attack on Leonis. The attack was successful, and Leonis saw Aral, the great sage who reincarnated with god powers. With his anger swelling, he swore to burn him alive, but his general Fenrir reminded him of his only demon lord left, the goddess of rebellion. So Leonis accepted defeat to keep his walk. As his castle was falling down, Leonis dropped his weapon and promised that he would reincarnate in 1,000 years to destroy all of humanity. 1,000 years ago, the world was on the brink of destruction, but it came at a great cost. The 6 heroes were absent, and Leonis's body was sealed away in a magical tomb, and his soul was trapped in a realm of darkness. 1,000 years later, the world has changed dramatically. The 6 heroes are remembered as legends, and the Dark Lords are nothing more than a distant memory. But the threat of evil still lingers. After 1,000 years, a young girl named Rizelia, Regina, is exploring the ruins of an ancient battlefield. His castle, looking to eliminate the nest of giant voids inside. As they explored deeper, Rizelia realized they were entering the Demon Lord castle, and they eventually made it to the demonic gate, where she saw writing in a demonic languages she'd never seen before. So she tried translating it with her phone. However, it was as worthless as her maid Regina, who said that she would go looking for explosives in the other room. As soon as she left Rizelia, she touched the door and activated the magic seal, opening it. In that instant, with the flames burning on, she saw a giant crystal in the middle, and her radar's limiter broke, but she saw a person was trapped inside. When Leonis reincarnated himself, he remembered meeting Rosilia, the goddess of rebellion, who told him that 1,000 years from now she'd be waiting for him in her child form, and he disappeared before his eyes. At the same time, Rizelia continued firing at the crystal to free him, but Leonis thought she was trying to rob his grave, so he destroyed the crystal after he awoke from his 1,000-year slumber to eliminate her. But she wondered why a child was stuck inside a crystal seal. When he looked to the side, he realized that he was back in his child form from when he was a hero, and wondered how he got trapped inside. She began patting him down and hugged him to her chest, telling him that his sister will take care of him. Leonis wondered how she could be so disrespectful to the demon lord but suffocated inside of her huge cannons. By the time he woke up he realized that his body was pathetic because of how easily he was subdued and couldn't believe that he liked the way she disrespected him but realized that he owed her his life for sharing her rations with him. The girl introduced herself as Rizelia, a member of the Excalibur Academy, and when she asked for his name he realized that he could extract the information he needed by lying to her. But after saying that he was a 10-year-old named Leonis, she thought he had a nice name, and he realized that her reaction indicated that his past was completely erased from history. However, since he was a child he has no memory of his past life, but he still retains his powerful abilities. She realized that he was definitely kidnapped by the void monster. At the same time, Regina's limiter nearly maxed out, so she summoned her holy sword. Rizelia went on to explain that voids were dark creatures, and they didn't know anything about them, or why they were called void and Leonis. The only thing he wanted to know was what year it was on the holy god calendar, but she didn't know what the holy god calendar was, and she told him it was year 64 of the unified human calendar. Just then the earth began to quake, and Rizelia tried to protect Leonis from the falling rocks, promising that she'll save him. And he was immediately attacked by a void monster. The walls of the room, but none of Rizelia's shots had any effect on the void, so to prevent it from destroying his sacred Mossum, Leonis prepared to cast his magic but fell flat on his face with the void monster about to slash them down. Regina fired a golden beam to cut its arm off, but the ogre managed to stand back up, so Regina transformed her holy sword into a dragon blaster. Seeing the light that was forming, Leonis knew it wasn't magic, and the impact it had on the void monster was stronger than a phase 4 explosion spell, so he wondered how it was still able to stand. Regina told them to start running away, so Leonis took Rizelia's hand, and Leonis he realized that all of his reincarnation plans failed with this pathetic 10 years kid body. His only source of information was the hot girl moving him, but before them a crystal fell down and a wyvern class void appeared. Rizelia begged him to run away, but Leonis was determined to use his powers to eliminate the bee and activated the magic from his wand. But before the wyvern would slash him down, Rizelia jumped in front of Leonis to protect him, and she was nearly killed in the process. She begged him to run to the surface with Regina, but a second void monster appeared, along with a third wyvern void monster. However, he wouldn't run and held her hand as she apologized for not being able to protect him. Passing away that same lifeless face he reminded him of when the goddess revived him after being betrayed, and as the void monster tried beating him down he felt ashamed that he had taken a liking into the strong girl, so Leonis promised to give them a fate worse than death. With his wand he activated a phase 8 gravity magic spell and crushed one of them down. None of them were able to crack his shield, so he stabbed the second one, and while the third tried running away, so Leonis released his ultimate fire spell to burn the void monster to a crisp. With this weak body he felt that only a third of his power could be released, but even the bone somehow void monster survived his 8-phase magic spell. Leonis, who had been weakened by his long sleep, he knew that human life didn't matter to him, but because she risked her life to save him he promised to do what he can, even though all his spells were related to death in that. However, he was able to use the last of his strength to cast a spell that would bring Rizelia back to life. At the moment he casted an insignia on her leg, and the blood began entering back into her body. The spell worked, but it had an unexpected side effect. Rizelia was resurrected as a vampire queen. She now possesses incredible power and immortality, but she must also contend with the bloodlust that comes with her new existence. Even if she'd be angry with him when she learned the truth, he knew it would be better than letting her pass away. Regina managed to eliminate the last void monster, and as she tried communicating to Leonis, he realized that humans had developed extremely advanced technologies over time. Rizelia regained consciousness and he hugged on to Leonis for being safe, but he was shocked to see that she was still alive, so Leonis revealed that he healed her with his holy sorcery. However, Rizelia she had no idea what sorcery meant, and Leonis wondered just how much of the ancient world had had disappeared. Rizelia thought he possessed a holy sword, so Leonis decided to go along with her, and she told him that holy swords appeared in humans when the voids invaded the earth. Because of that, everyone with those abilities joined the army, so Regina is one of the holy sword users. But Leonis never knew that souls could manifest into weapons and wondered why Rizelia didn't have one. Regina finally he came back, but Rizelia asked where the wyvern void monster disappeared off to, so Leonis said that he was just shaking and it disappeared when he got up outside the cave. Leonis is confused and disoriented, but Rizelia told him to ride her, and as they drove away Regina tried introducing herself. Leonis said it was really nice to meet them, but Regina told Rizelia that Leonis wasn't being polite. However, Rizelia told her that she's just imagining things and that there would be a whole lot more motion on the bumpy road. While riding away, Regina told him to enjoy hugging on to Rizelia, but Regina apologized for teasing him after being might help him regain his memories. Rizelia told her to stop before Leonis grows up to call himself a man of culture, but Regina said that all guys have dirty minds. Anyway, I'll watch this part for next video. Thank you for watching.